Three, two.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, it's Lord of Lost again, or a couple of us. Pi is not going to be here, class is on the way, but we have two guests today, as most of you already know. So we meet with this little self-help group for musicians tonight with two members of the brilliant band The Raven Age from England. And we have George Harris and Matt James, or do you prefer MJ or
Well, it's basically MJ's the name that has kind of got given to me when I joined the band, because there was already another Matt in the band, so it just became simpler to do it this way.
MJ Shelby, and it gives me some Spider-Man vibes. I love that.
Henceforth shall be known as MJ.
So yeah, welcome to our stream. I think that's a great opportunity for us to get to know each other a little. I mean, George, we have met a couple of times. Last years in England already on tour, but Matt, I think we haven't spoken yet.
Yeah, this is the first time seeing you guys properly, kind of.
But we're going to spend a lot of time together on tour for a couple of weeks. It's going to be 21 days in total, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And I think it's
me too.
The biggest production we have, because we're going to be on tour with 2 nightliners and 1 truck and 3 bands, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So it's great to actually have you on tour.
Taking it big time.
Thank you.
Hitting the big time.
Sorry. Right away, I just I asked myself, are there any new countries or cities for you, places you never been before? Because I've seen you've been around a lot during the last years, really a lot all over Europe. But are there new places?
Good question.
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm just checking the schedule now. I mean,
yeah, I will put it in the chat here.
We have here quite a lot of. Oh, cool.
There you go.
Awesome. There's got to be some new places. Oh yeah, there we go.
Because they're new for us. We never been to Luxembourg. Never. I think
right.
That's okay.
This one is
Luxembourg's fantastic. It's really, really cool. Warsaw,
Yeah,
I've been to Warsaw, but I don't think we've played it. Have we played Warsaw before?
Yes, I think we have played Warsaw.
Yeah.
I think so. Have we not?
You're gonna lose track of this, right?
Yeah, it really does genuinely blend into one. I'm so bad at remembering the places that we've been in the past.
I don't think we've played Trezzo.
You did? No. That's very close to Milano. It's basically Milano. So it's some kind of suburban area of Milano. So if you played Milano before, but you played all the other places already?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
We have, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Budapest, one of my favorite places.
Yeah. What's I mean, it's always hard to choose favorites, but are there places where you say it's these ones are special and you're especially looking forward to these ones?
I love every time we go to Germany, kind of any shows we do there, it feels very relatable for us. It feels like, almost similar sometimes to when we're playing the UK. We feel like we've been to Germany a few times, and it's great. And also there's a definite comparison with Southern England and Northern England. They're the same when you go from Bavaria to other parts of Germany, how the crowd reaction changes. I don't know if you guys feel the same.
Yeah, we
Germany,
do.
Yeah, we have quite the difference between Northern German and Southern German, but also Western and Eastern. So basically, wherever you go, it's vastly different. I mean, it's the thing is, Hamburg for us is hard to say because it's our hometown, and it's always different to play your hometown because I don't know, I can't really relate that or compare it to others. But what I can really compare are cities like London and Berlin, because you have this big city phenomenon. The bigger the city is, the more opportunities that people have where they can go to. I always say, when you feel like you want to go to a karaoke party with camels and goats on a Monday night, you will find it. And also you will find it in Berlin. And when people are so like, you know, so spoiled by all these opportunities, for me, it always feels it can be the hardest cities you can actually, where you can get the audience, especially when you're supporting or something.
Totally.
And we have
Absolutely.
with other metropoles, like big cities on the planet. So sometimes it feels like you go to the little villages and people just go nuts just before you even play a single note.
Yeah, exactly. That's something we've kind of been on the cards for us for a little while. We'd like to. We've not done it yet as like a headline act, but we tend to, like most bands, just especially in the UK, just kind of do the big cities down the middle, and we'd like to go and do all the rural towns and capture all the guys who don't necessarily get the chance to go into town and you know, play for them. It's a completely different vibe.
And you can't always please everybody. As soon as you announce a tour, there's always like in the comment section, oh, why you guys aren't coming here? Why you know? And it's difficult, isn't it, to kind of map out a route that pleases everybody. But you know, it's good to get to a point where you go, do you know what? We've played these places a lot. Why don't we hit the in betweens? You know, that's definitely.
Yeah, we have this come to Mexico joke, because there's like whenever we announce shows, we have such a huge fan crowd in Mexico that you always have like people screaming "Come to Mexico." So sometimes when we announce a tour, we just put the hashtag "Come to Mexico."
Yeah.
Like,
we just got a new one. I recently read in some of the comments, "Come to Indonesia."
Come to Indonesia.
Nice.
Oh, that's
Right, that's new.
That's new. But talk about Indonesia. Have you played on all the continents so far? Like, or is there like something you haven't done yet?
You probably haven't been to Antarctica.
We played on Antarctica. Yeah.
Yeah. Metallica actually have.
Not yet.
They're the only band that
good point.
have played on all continents of the world, even Antarctica.
But you have played North America, South America, Australia, Asia, everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we have done. Yeah,
Wow.
which is pretty crazy actually.
I bet.
Yeah, I think we played in Japan and we played in China. We played Australia. Obviously, we did a world tour supporting Maiden. We just hitchhiked on the back of that, and that went absolutely everywhere. So we kind of lucky enough to hit a lot of those places we would never go to, including South Africa. It's going to be pretty tough to get back to those places. You know, it's hard enough just to get to like.
When was the first time you supported Maiden? How long is that ago? Or George went on.
George is.
Oh, there he is again.
Oh, wait,
No, he's back.
Yeah. When was the first time you guys supported Maiden?
It's in 2016, right?
2016.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
we're still waiting for some of these continents. We've done China.
Yeah.
Like short before the pandemic, and it was great. It was such a different experience. It was a headliner tour. Some concerts were like really small with like 150 people. Some were like up to 500, which felt like huge for us. Like when you realize you're actually playing in China. But it was one of the most memorable tours, because China is such a big country. We played there in December, and we started the tour in the south of China, where you had like 25 degrees Celsius. There were palm trees. It was sunny. It was nice. And then we went up north, and 2 weeks later, we ended the tour in Beijing with -5 degrees and in the snow and in the ice, and like playing in Moscow, and you were still in the same country. That was really hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, that was wild.
And you guys are heading back to the States, right?
We're going to the States this fall. We've been there on a small tour. It was more like a road trip thing in 2014. Like we literally did this minivan tour. Like everyone cramped one bus, and it was mayhem, but we loved it. And we tried to go back in 2017, and we had visa issues. It was just a year after Trump got elected, and he kind of made an example with like many European bands. So that was wild because we had like everything booked, you know, and merch produced and the night lineup booked and installed, and we just lost shitloads of money. And now we will try again. And we're in the visa process. You guys know it.
Yeah. Oh, trust me.
Yeah.
You have to prove that you are worth going there. And I don't want to piss anyone off when American fans watch us here, but it's a thing. Like it's not your fault as Americans. America, the country itself, they demand of you to actually prove that you're worthy. So maybe people understand a little better why this process takes a while. You just don't go to the website.
It is so difficult. I mean, we went there in 2019, and we were actually there in 2020 as well, doing something similar. We're in a little van, doing some radio shows, literally going from East Coast to West Coast. Was it West Coast to East Coast? I can't remember.
West Coast to East Coast, yeah.
Yeah, and it was incredible. But just like going back to the comment section, you know, every time that there's a tour announced and you get the come to Mexico or come to America, it's such a big thing. You know, we want to get it back over to the States, but you know, we're in the same position. It is so difficult. I remember when we went before in 2019, we went to the American embassy to apply for our visas. Yeah. And it was I don't know about you, but it was one of the most intimidating places.
Yeah, I think we still have to go there. We're not that far yet. Right now, we're in the middle of collecting all these paperwork. And so this is going to be, I don't know, step 7 or 8 or whatever on this that we actually have to go to the embassy. It's like...
Can't help but feel guilty. Yes. When you're standing there waiting, you just feel like I'm done anything wrong.
We just talked about that yesterday. When you're just going on the street in your car and the police is behind you, you instantly feel guilty, although you haven't done anything wrong. It's like, I mean, I feel like that. So that was just fucking crazy. And your experience after was that we actually had to have some work visa thing for England as well. I don't know how about you guys. Do you do anything to play in the UK? Is it the same the other way around? To play out of the UK, I mean? Do you have to do some stuff? Because when we want to play...
Actually, no.
All right. Because we have to do that.
Yeah, no, we thought we had to, like, propose when Brexit come in, and we were thinking, this is going to be such a headache. There was lots of different rumours going around that, you know, we're going to have to apply for all these different visas for every single EU country, and it's going to cost this much money. But I was thinking, oh my God, we're never going to be able to tour again. And then right at the last minute, it kind of, our tour manager was just posted a link and said, okay, looks like we're okay, guys. And we didn't have to go through that process. So
all right.
Thank God. But yeah, it kind of sucks that you guys had to get visas to come and play here.
Yeah, it's not just a visa thing. It's like with all the taxes and shit. It's like when before Brexit, it was like, you saw your income, you know, the life fees that you get, the guarantees and whatever, and merch, and now you can just like take 50% off of it, because it's like it's really hard to like, from a financial standpoint, which is important to survive. It's really hard to play England and to not lose money. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
It is difficult, and you know, the worst. I discuss this a lot. You know, coming from, I love my home, and I love the UK as a whole, and I love what we've kind of done for the arts, but the way it's kind of run from that standpoint, it is a bit of a shit show. I mean, the thing that I use this as an example all the time. Every time I open my feed on Facebook or Instagram or something, there's issues with another venue having to basically justify itself staying alive, you know, and the amount of crap. And you think, my God, this is coming from a place that's, you know, given the world the Beatles and stuff, and they just, you know, the government, they just don't give a shit about helping out. Whereas you go to a place like that's one of the things I love about going to mainland Europe and Germany and the Netherlands. You know, the arts really do get more support, I think, in general. And it's even like seeing stuff like music shops in Germany, you know, even that's a bit of a novelty.
Well, let's just say we're not really living up to that reputation anymore. I mean, we used to be the country of poets and, you know, all those kind of literature and composers and all that stuff. And those times are long gone.
I mean, if you
Oh,
if
that's
you
a
want to
shame.
look for countries that actually really support art, not just classical music. I mean, like we're doing pop music basically
Yeah.
like pop music, alternative music.
Right.
Then you actually have to go to Scandinavia. If you look at
Yeah.
Denmark, Finland,
Yeah.
Norway, Sweden, it's like what they do for the bands there, like it's crazy. Like in Germany, some things also have become kind of difficult, but yeah, I
Is that a
mean,
recent thing? Is that like the last few years, or are we talking like more than 10 years?
No, it's actually like it's been like that forever. There's like a three-class music society somehow. I call it musical racism because it's like classical music. It's being like supported like super hardcore. Then you have jazz, and then you have all the rest. And we try to play because sometimes we do classical concerts with a symphonic orchestra or string ensembles, kind of things, and we're always trying to play in like special places, not like rock music halls, which are seated. Then we want to play in churches, in like classical music halls, in historic music halls. And there's this beautiful new building in Hamburg actually for classical music, and we asked if we could play there, and they said like, no, we're not doing anything below jazz. And
Below jazz.
if you kind of listen to this sentence like below jazz, then you actually understand quite a lot about like culture and how it's supported in Germany from, and it's
A musical snobbery, would you call it in a way?
that's
Yeah.
exactly, that's the right
a
term
shame.
actually. But just talked about the Beatles, and I don't know if you knew, but there's like a super special connection actually between Hamburg and Liverpool. We spent a lot of time in Liverpool last year because of Eurovision. I think you guys know that.
Yeah.
And the Beatles, hailing from Liverpool, they started their world career off in Hamburg, actually, because they went to
Oh
Hamburg.
wow.
They lived here for 1.5 years before they were even called the Beatles. And they met Ringo Starr here in Hamburg, just like 200 meters from this place where we were sitting right now in St. Pauli, the Red Light District. And they played their first, I think, 163 shows or something here in Hamburg in like 2 or 3 clubs, again and again. And my mother, she was born in 1943. So when the Beatles started in 61 something, she was 18. She was one of the girls at these first Beatles shows. She went to
Oh
like
wow.
Beatles shows or
Wow.
something. And she met the
Street
guys
girls.
after the shows, and there are things she's not telling me about, and I'm not sure if I want to know.
I am your father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss in that situation.
And the thing is, then they started their world career, and another thing happened in Hamburg. The reason why all of them were singing was that they were booked at first as a cover band to play every night for 4, 5, 6 hours. And Paul's voice just got raspy so quick. So he asked the other guys, like, can you chip in here a little? Can we sing together? And then they kind of made this, the bug became a feature. And so this is how they evolved their sound from some kind of old school rock and roll thing to this beat music they actually did. And this is actually, yeah, John Lennon said it's one of his most famous quotes. He said, like, I was born in Liverpool, but I grew up, or I musically grew up in Hamburg. And it was so beautiful for us to go back to Liverpool and feel like we are able to bring a little piece of rock and roll back to place where it came from, because I'm sure that none of our bands would sound the same if there wasn't the Beatles, because they formed the foundation of everything they do. They're just a big part of that. So
I've had this argument with so many people over the years, where especially our tour manager as well, he can't stand the Beatles, and obviously I literally just the point you made about how even if you don't like the Beatles, you've got to kind of appreciate what they did for music and contemporary music, and how they turned something, I mean, commercial pop music in terms of pop culture, and how everything's kind of stemmed from that. You take away the Beatles and we're looking at something very different. It's the same, like, the birth of the blues and all that. And, even if you're not into it, you kind of got to appreciate what it is for it to for what it's done for rock and roll and rock music and all that. I didn't know any of that. It's so interesting. Like that's kind of like slightly blown my mind because I really didn't know that. That's so cool.
We in Hamburg, we have like one thing I wanted to say. The only reason to hate the Beatles actually is that they took all away these great chord progressions. They used all of them up for the first time.
They just did it, yeah.
When you come to Hamburg next time, I mean, for this tour, it's not on the list, and if you walk around in the red light district, we have an actual Beatles square, like directly beside the Reeperbahn, which is this famous street within the red light district with the easy girls, you know. And
I think we know the Reeperbahn, do we?
Yeah, Reeperbahn. Yeah, we have the Beatles museum, and it's crazy. And you have all these clubs where they played first, where you have all these old pictures. And for us, as people from Hamburg, it was weird because when we went to Liverpool, we did this Beatles tour, this touristy thing where you go on about, you see the house where Paul grew up and where they rehearsed and whatever. And we were like, right, there's another part of the Beatles which did not happen in Hamburg, because when you're here and you see all these tourist groups on the street with all these people that lead these tourist groups, you know, they tell the same thing all over again. You kind of start to believe that the Beatles actually come from here. And we're like, right, that's not true. It's just been 1.5 years, very important 1.5 years. It was eye-opening.
That's interesting. That's really, really cool. Actually, it's funny enough, we've played in Hamburg like plenty of times. We've never actually played in Liverpool. I've never actually been to Liverpool, I think.
Would you recommend?
We have we have been to Liverpool, George.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. I'll tell a lie. And it was
come to Liverpool.
But it wasn't a gig. It was a mission, wasn't it?
Yeah, basically we when our guitar player Tommy, when we were wanting to recruit his services for the band, I said to George, look, there's one guy for the job. He's playing in Liverpool tomorrow. Let's take a train up to Liverpool. We'll get him drunk as drunk can be, and you know, to basically so he can't say no. And that's what happened. And he woke up the next day, stinking hangover, saying, am I dreaming this, or did I agree to join your band?
We met him. Did you kidnap him?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I think we met Tommy before we actually met you, George, when we, in 2022, we watched this British Lion show in Warsaw, actually at the place where we're going to play as well, at Progressia, and he was backlining for British Lion. So this is where we met Tommy, and he actually set up contact.
That's it, yeah, he introduced me.
When you and I started speaking and met 1 year later somewhere on the Maiden tour the other year.
So it all started in Liverpool.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually played in Liverpool during live. You know, Eurovision is not, I wouldn't say it's a concert, it's a show. But yeah, pre-Eurovision, we played this little acoustic matinee, like in the morning, like a breakfast show at the Cavern Club.
That's so cool. You actually got to play the Cavern Club. That's amazing.
Yeah, just acoustic with just, you know, kind of spontaneously at 10 in the morning.
The night before we chose the songs to play.
Yeah, pretty much. So it was like just you. It was so weird because you are there. It was just Eurovision fans, and you play in this old Beatles club as a band from Hamburg, like super back to basic acoustic in the morning for breakfast, and like very emotional songs, and people are standing there, start crying, and it was like, it was a great thing. It was really a great thing.
That's really cool.
By the way, I was going to ask, since I've seen the guys before because I was at home and we decided to come here because there were too many screens. I already said hi to the guys, but not to the community. So hi, community.
Talking about supporting other big bands, do you have like, is there a list of bands where you say like, oh, you'd really love to support, you'd really love to tour with this band, like talking about the Lord of Lost.
Aside from you guys, you mean? Aside from you guys? Aside from you guys, obviously.
Yeah.
I think so. I think I've got a bit of signal issues here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think which would be a good. Not only would it be cool to tour with the band, I like the band, but I think it would be a good crossover in terms of the fan base would be Avenged Sevenfold.
Absolutely.
As you know, they're kind of modern melodic metal. I kind of think that would work pretty well. In terms of us trying to steal fans, basically.
That's what you do at support shows, right?
Yeah. Exactly. I think that would be cool. I mean, I don't even know if I have support bands because of how much pyro they have, but I'd love to support Rammstein one day. For obvious reasons.
What's that? Sorry, I didn't catch it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sorry,
Acoustically, I didn't.
I said I would love to support Rammstein one day at one of the stadiums, you know, with the 4 towers and all that.
It's massive.
That'd be pretty.
It is.
Yeah, I don't even know if they have support bands. Do they?
They used to have support bands in the past. We've been there a lot, like many years ago, because like they had Death Stars on tour and they had Combi Christ on tour, and both bands are friends of us. So we actually went to a couple of shows because we were on the guest list because of that. And I think some years ago they stopped doing that. For a couple of years they had a DJ who's actually like a friend of ours. He was just
cool.
DJing, and at the last tour they had these 2 girls on a piano.
It's not only the last tour; it's already for a few tours, I think.
Yeah, they have these 2 girls on a piano playing Rammstein songs. 2 girls on piano.
Yeah, and while the girls are playing the Rammstein songs on 2 pianos with no vocals, just 2 pianos, all over in the arena or the stadium on the screens are totally different songs. The videos are running there, but also Rammstein, of course. So you're seeing Rammstein with a different video, but listening to a totally different Rammstein song. And after that, you're seeing Rammstein, and the music in the changeover is Rammstein.
I think rank it in
so just
royalties.
Let's call it an evening with Rammstein.
Yeah, an evening with Rammstein. Yeah.
Right.
In terms of,
it is a royalty thing if you tell the promoters that you're not going to play anything else except your own music. It really does something with the deal, especially if you play in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah, must do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, one of the bands I'd really love to support is Ghost. It just
that was going to be my choice as well.
No, I said it first.
Oh, yeah, no. You've beaten me to the punch.
I'd really love to do that. We've seen them last year on some festival in Poland, and again, I was blown away by the all-over feeling of what's happening there. I just love it. So it's just something I'd really love to do. Are there some bands in the past? I mean, you said Maiden, which is, we know that, but are there other big bands you had the chance to support during the past years?
We've been really lucky. We got to, I mean, one of my kind of, I don't know, vocal heroes, I suppose, is Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge. And we were very lucky to do a tour with them and Shinedown back in 2019. And it was a real kind of like surreal experience, because you obviously want to make a connection with someone that you've obviously looked up to from most of your life. And it turned out weirdly, and it was the strangest thing, we both had the same vocal coach. This guy based out of California. And I couldn't believe it. And it was a real great, and he was a genuinely lovely human being. And I have had it in the past where I've met someone who I've looked up to and they've turned out to be a bit of an asshole, and it just kind of crushes that, core memory of what you look up to. And luckily that wasn't the case. But in terms of bands like that I'd love to have toured, I mean, most of them in my head, they're kind of like either dead or not touring anymore. So yeah, but I was very lucky to.
I think the thing is this saying, never meet your idols, because it can destroy your juvenile, fantasy of how your idols maybe would be. What I experienced when I met like people from these big bands, there was nothing in between. They were either like super down to earth, humble, nice, or they were like total assholes. I've never met someone like in the middle, like just okay,
Yeah.
Either this or that. And this kind of showed me, okay, there's two ways to the top. Either you're just cool, or you're just an asshole. And I think
you need to decide which one you're going to be.
We're still struggling. We don't know. Have you decided?
I chose the asshole route years ago.
There's some questions from fans actually, and maybe you answered some questions before, but most of them here, Lord of Lost fans, that want to know more about you. And I've read this one thing which was really nice. Someone said, "The Raven Age." That sounds like a new Harry Potter book, like Harry Potter and the Raven Age. And this was combined with the question, what does it stand for? Where does the idea hail from? Did it just sound cool, or is there something to it?
Yeah, that's funny. You're talking to MJ here, who's the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's derived from the legend of the Tower of London. It was so it was a thing put in place back in, I need to get this right. I should get this right. 16th century, I think. Like Charles II made a rule that there needs to be 6 ravens kept on the premises, like at all times, 24/7. And if any were to leave or fly away, then the British Empire will fall. And that's
real, by the way.
Yeah, it's been kept to this day. There's still ravens kept at the Tower of London. Actually, they've literally just appointed a new Raven master. Who's
they must be super old by now, the Ravens.
Well, it's the same. It's the same like lineage apparently. Like it's the same original ravens that were in there. It's the same like family line, all the way through. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, there's one a new one born. Was it like early last year, maybe? Or 22? Like they had a raven born there for the first time in a long time.
Is it always 6? What do they do if there's more? They just let them fly away, or do they keep more actually? Or does it have to be 6?
Spare parts.
Spare parts.
Yeah. I don't know the answer to that actually. I know that there has to be 6 or more, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but the story is really cool.
But did you think like, okay, from the moment on where this started off, this was the time of the Raven Age, so to say?
Yeah, I guess we like this. So this was myself and Dan, who's now our manager. Actually, we started the band together way back when. It started out as me and him jamming guitar, throwing back and forth some riffs. We started looking for band names, and we come across this story, and we thought, this is a cool story. We can, your mind kind of starts going places with it, and it paints a bit of a picture, and it kind of fits within like the medieval kind of theme that we like. And
that's actually another question. Like, how did you start as a band? When did it start?
Yeah, it was myself and our manager Dan, who, funnily enough, now he's actually my brother-in-law. So
all right, we met him last year a couple of times.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Football game, match, and
he was playing football as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Loose term there, playing.
Yeah, trying. But yeah, you met Dan. So we started it. It was met him, and yeah, both into rock and metal music. Both played the guitar. We're like, should we get together like one random weeknight? Like, yeah, okay.
When was it? How long is that ago?
Oh man, I mean, I was like 18. It would have been like 2009.
All right.
Same as
Yeah,
us.
and then yeah, but you know, it stayed at that level for quite a while. It was just throwing back ideas, getting excited, tracking some demos, and then after a while, we were like, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if we could not sit there punching drums into a keyboard and getting it wrong? Let's try and get like a band.
We've tried that. We do not recommend it.
Yeah. Funny enough, I come across one of our earliest demos yesterday when I was flicking through my laptop, and my God, was it terrible.
Yeah. I can relate.
Yeah. And it snowballed from there. We found the rest of the guys kind of one by one. We all met like online. Matty, our bass player, was the first one to join, and we put out an advert on joinmybands.com, and Matty responded, and then it was Jai, then it was Mike, our original singer. Yeah, we didn't do our first show till like February 2014, so we were just having fun with it for quite a few years, until it become like a proper thing. And then we were like, you know what, let's give it a go.
Sounds very organic.
How about you guys?
It's a classic.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. And
how about you guys?
But I can tell you, but one question more, how did you find MJ then? When did you join, or how did you find the band? How did you get together?
So it was a really kind of we talk about it all the time, how, you know, things in life have these like really weird, spooky kind of coincidences. Like if one thing had gone a different way, it would have never happened. You know what I mean? The kind of stars aligned, or you know, depending if you're an optimist or not.
Yeah.
But I was in a band previously, and I toured with the Raven Age a few times with my previous band, and we knew each other. When the band broke up, I was kind of totally over the music industry, jaded. I was like, do you know what? Fuck this. I'm not doing anymore. I'm going to do something else. And it was only later we shared the same producer who said, look, you may think I'm crazy, but I reckon you would be perfect for the Raven Age. And I was so very different to the previous guy. I was like, nah, they're not going to want me. It's not going to work. Anyway, last hour, they tried out loads of people, auditions for the new singer role when they were replacing Mike. And I came in literally at the last minute. I think they'd already made a decision to hire another guy. And I came in, I showed up really early, and I probably looked far too keen. But went in, did a couple of songs. George had like the best poker face, didn't give anything away. And I thought, well, I probably, that's it. Anyway, I got back home that night, and I got a phone call from Dan, the manager, and he said, yeah, I'd like to give you the gig, the job. And that was it really. And it was where they threw me in at the deep end. They had a tour and an album which needed to be done like straight. So I didn't even have time to think. We went into the studio, recorded, which was the first album with me on it. And then we did a small UK tour, and then we went out to Europe in 2018. And that's kind of, that was it. My feet didn't really touch the ground from then on, which is good. I think, sometimes
that was such
it's
a
good.
fun tour though.
It was, yeah. It was really good. Really, really cool.
I think, morale in both camps were.
Do you guys
just the
to
fact
each other somehow? Do everyone in the band, do you live close to each other, or do you have to travel to get together to do stuff? Or
yeah, we're all quite separate. Like Tommy lives in Sweden. I live in Wales, and the rest of the guys are kind of in and around London. But usually, what we do is whenever we've got something, like anything band related, it comes in and we do like block rehearsals or block. Yeah, it's pretty easy to do, I think, nowadays.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, for us, we started kind of at the same time. I had a couple of bands before. I started when I was 18 with my first band. That was 1998. So I'm a little bit older than you guys. And I tried this and that, and I actually met Klaas like, I don't know, 22 years ago or something, or 20 years, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
what's 20?
he was working at the local guitar store where I bought my strings and a new guitar strap or whatever. And I always liked him. And once in a while, I asked him like, "Hey, I'm looking for a new bass player for another new band," and he was like, "Sorry, no time." He said that a couple of times, and then there was this one time in like 2006 or something, was before Lord of the Lost. He said no again, but he promised me, next time you ask me, I'm gonna do it. So in 2007, I started writing all these songs and producing music. Just for me, there was no band, and then I met all these other guys bit by bit, and I started with this album alone, and suddenly I had a record deal because and then the guys from the label said like, yeah, but you have to play live, you need a band. So we formed a band. Then we started off as a band in 2009, and since then we really count the history of the band. Before that, it was just me. And I went to Klaas again and said like, hey, I have a new band. So you promised me you're gonna do it. He said, yes, I'm in. What kind of music are we gonna play?
At the desk at the music shop, he just came to my not the desk. It's
the cash
the counter. The counter. I said like, okay, let's go. I said, yeah, right. I have time. Let's do the band.
Yeah.
It was fun.
He said, what it's gonna be? It was like, yeah, some kind of gothic, dark metal, maybe some glam here and there. I don't know.
Yeah, like,
let's see.
Okay.
Makeup's going to be involved.
Yeah, there's gonna be lots of makeup. You're gonna look great.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
That is very cool.
And then like with sorry, what?
I was just saying, I guess it's quite a different way of going into a band. Everyone joining, be like, we've got a record deal. Let's get a band. Let's go.
The thing was, I didn't really take that seriously also with the record deal, because I was playing in other bands, and I just did this Lord of Lost thing because I was missing something in the other musical projects that I did. I just wanted to have like a hobby band, like really just a hobby band. And there was this one guy from this label. It was a label of some electro project. Some dark electro project I was singing. He said like, yeah, why not? I always wanted to try some guitar band. You can be the first. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to sign that contract, whatever. And so because I didn't plan to be successful with that, everything we did was just for the fun, for the love of the music. So this is why some members of the band during the first couple of years, like we had lots of rotation, like peaceful rotation, because the step from being just a hobby band to suddenly you had to really invest time and realize, wow, that's going to be so much more. And not everyone could take that, because some people were studying or were like had different plans for their lives. And now for 7 years, we are in this very stable lineup, and we've never been better before, never been happier before. It has never been like, the dynamics within the band are just great. Everyone has his like jobs, and like you're the social media minister, you are this or that, like we have, all of us have our duties. And yeah, it's just that's the story.
The way it has to work, I think, when you're a band, especially at your guys' level. Obviously you guys are upper tier than us, but like everyone in the band needs to do something to keep the machine going.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, for some, it's not normal, because there are so many bands where you have like this one guy and then like 5 hired guns. They don't do anything. They don't care about anything. And I really could not do that. I'd feel so lonely on tour if I'd be like the only one like being emotionally involved with like lots of people. I just pay. Of course, like at the end of the day, you have more money because all the rest of the revenue is yours, but I'd be just so sad.
And
a bit lost, maybe.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like we don't feel like bandmates. We feel like family. The same goes for our crew. Some people in our crew work with us since 2011 or something, and they're all close friends. But when we write songs for a new record, we actually invite them and do songwriting camps with them, because all of the guys in the crew are great musicians. So it's like we are like,
That's really cool.
It's a spider web of energy, and but
if we let our crew do that, I think we'd just sound like Pantera.
Right.
Our tour manager is like our surrogate dad. You know, we've been with him for a long time, and he always says, "When are you going to stop this rubbish? Trying to be, you know, what you need some dirty, crunchy Pantera style guitar riffs. You know, bring that back. That's what you want." But he. You know, he's typical sarcasm with English, but he's a surrogate dad on the tour.
I've just read a really interesting question for you guys. And try to translate it on the fly.
Oh, it's read them for them in German, and let's see what they.
I'll see if I can guess what it is.
I'll try to read slowly. Was sollte jemand über The Raven Age wissen, der noch nie etwas von der Band gehört hat? Okay, good luck with that.
George is a man, I think.
Good.
Right?
No,
Was that it?
I know.
Well,
yeah.
It might be a part of the answer.
Yeah.
What would one have to know about The Raven Age who's never heard of the band before?
Oh, good question. Good question. Well, we're musically speaking, we're you know, it's I always say that I don't like subgenres. I feel like nowadays to be like it's such a popular thing to subcategorize rock and metal bands, and I hate it because I feel like then you've pigeonholed yourself. And I just say, look, we're a metal band, and we're the Raven Age, and you can classify that whatever you like, but we do say we are a melodic metal band because, you know, there are so many great bands out there that do the screaming thing really well. We have like we do a little bit of it, but it's kind of like we use it as textures or, you know, flavors, and it's great. You know, so many bands do that so very well. We just decided for us, we stuck to the kind of the melodic style. And we've used things like screams and all that as textures for the music. And, you know, we also, going back to like originally, like my influences are more traditional, like from like the more classic periods of rock and stuff like that. And I think the combination of George and the other guys, they're into more modern stuff. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of like old school metal and new school metal, I think. But as I said, we're a metal band first and foremost.
But there's actually a thing I am being asked this in interviews a lot. Like the people ask me like, the variety of styles that you play is so vast. You do so many things. So how would you actually call it? And I'm always say like, I don't have to call it anything because all the other people are doing this for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how I call it. You can call it whatever you want. People are gonna categorize. So I don't care. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is kind of that because, and also I feel like if you make the mistake of giving yourself a name or a subcategory, you've essentially got to conform to that. And if you don't, and you try to venture off somewhere else, you know, you're going to have an angry bunch of guys of fans that say, no, this is outside what you said you're supposed to do. So I feel like it stops you from being able to change creatively, you know, from album to album.
And also what I think is when you give yourself some sort of a name, whatever subgenre, you might even miss out on fans who wouldn't even give you a chance because no, I'm not into that. But maybe they would if they wouldn't just have, you know, if they hadn't got so stuck to that genre that you just named, basically. So
the problem,
maybe they're still into you.
The problem there is when you or your label or your distribution, whatever, they upload your shit on the DSP, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, whatever. Some of these platforms, they want you to choose 3 subcategories. They want you to do that. You cannot upload stuff. So for the last records, I always told our record label, just choose stuff randomly. You know, just just choose whatever. And
Russian roulette.
yes, yeah,
Country and Western music.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
But there was a funny question. We've reached some questions beforehand by mail, and someone said like,
I want to interrupt because it's funny what happens in the chat there. Talking about who the best hugger in your band Raven Age is.
Oh.
But they
Best
say
hugger.
Matty, MJ, and Jay give the best hugs.
Yeah, I have to try out.
Because we have a lot of people that already appear to your shows and they are talking about who's the greatest hugger. So we find out.
Best hugger.
But
Okay.
there's some guys in the band that have issues with like personal space. Like, I don't have that issue. I love, you know, touchy feely, you know. I don't have that moment, but Jai, he doesn't like his personal space being invaded too much.
I was just about to ask, like, bring us up to speed so we know beforehand.
Yeah.
But he seems to be a good hugger in the end, since Jay is one of the top 3.
The top
He's made in
3.
the top 3. I'd give it to Matty.
Yeah, I give it to Matty. Yeah, Matty.
No, there was like someone was talking about genres, and he said like, if you guys say you're doing melodic metal, how many types of metal are there?
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
just like,
I don't know if I could name them.
yeah, me neither. It's
I mean,
like,
they seem to be new ones all the time.
Many years back, I had a death metal band, and we called the genre a grandma eating dirt metal.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't quite a success.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing.
Kind of begs the follow-up question: is it metal about a grandma who's eating dirt, or is it grandma eating dirt metal?
Oh,
So
no.
Yeah.
It's the grandma who was eating dirt.
Okay.
Do you know what? You've just given me the best inspiration to start a new band. That's it.
Because that makes perfect sense.
there's this one movie about this Finnish metal band.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Road Trip or something?
Yeah,
heavy trip.
Like reindeer raping Fenner Swens, whatever. Black metal. Oh,
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I do recommend the movie Heavy Trip. It's amazing.
Heavy Trip.
Heavy Trip. I've not seen it.
What's there? Another question for the Raven Boys. Do you choose?
How do you choose?
How do you choose the set list? Do you just choose the songs, or do you think about the band you are supporting? Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
We have done that, haven't we? We have thought about potentially what songs could work for the band that we're supporting. We tend to nowadays, because we've got a few albums out now, we do kind of go, what are the most popular ones? What were the songs? What songs can we not take out? And then you kind of go from there. There's certain songs that we can't not play, and then we kind of figure out, okay, how dynamically will this work in a set? We've got quite a lot of different key changes and stuff like that in songs. So like logistically, how that's going to go. And obviously with a support set, we want to, there's certain things like maybe we can't do like a ballad or something like that. We've got to kind of hit hard as soon as you get on the stage until we leave. So that's also a factor as well.
Yeah, I think those are all things to take into consideration. You know, as opposed to you just go on stage and, well, just do your thing, play the songs that you think are fun, and you're not really winning the fans over. It's kind of, you know, there's things to take into consideration.
Yeah, we always did the same. I think we never really played like a real ballad. Of course, some mid-tempo stuff where people can go like this, but you know, a real ballad, I think we never did that on support shows, because it didn't even, we always thought like we want to keep up the level of energy. And what we always tried, we don't speak too much to people. So it's more like a monologue. And after that, people can decide if they like you or not. So, and just like 20 seconds maybe of saying hello and then playing the next song. Sometimes I see like support bands, and they have like 5 minutes announcement in between, and everybody's going to the bar and having a beer. So
I think it really depends on how long your slot is as a support band. If you have like, I don't know, 25 or 30 minutes, like a really short set, don't waste your time with, I don't know, ballads and talking. Just,
So
And
literally
10
you
minutes of
don't-
drum solo.
like don't play the songs where people get their beer,
basically, yeah.
So you want to keep them next to the stage.
But if you're in a lucky position with like, I don't know, 45, 50 or even more minutes as a support band, you could consider having a little like story arc.
I mean, like, but when we played last year, when we played Maiden for the second time last year, we played 50 minutes, which was really a lot, but still we didn't really go to the ballad mode because we wanted to give people, but we do the same, like we're trying, we don't want to change as a band, but of course we check which songs kind of fit the whole frame. And I think this is a good thing. And I would never really change something, like deliberately try to sound softer or harder or whatever for the band we're playing for. But you can, by the choice of songs, of course, you know how to meet the right people, maybe.
Yeah.
And obviously on this particular tour, you guys have obviously it's a bit of a landmark in terms of all of your catalog as well. How do you go about picking, through the years? That, I mean, the worst part is certain things you got to leave out. It gets harder and harder the longer you go.
Yeah. Do you want to say something first, right?
No, I just wanted to add, like, if you support another band, you're most likely a warm-upper, and you should warm up the band. The fans for the last band.
Not
so
pull them down,
it should not be like, hey, and we want to tell you a story, we want to take you down on a journey, blah blah blah. It's like, hey, come on, guys, let's go.
But you're right. For our set list, it wasn't easy because the thing is, it's called 15 Years of Lord of Lost Tour. So you would expect us to play everything from every album. And the thing, many hardcore fans come there and they expect some surprises. They don't want to hear your Spotify top 10.
Right.
And then you have all these new fans which came to us from Eurovision, from the 2 tours with Maiden, because of course we reached like millions of people on TV and on these shows. And of course they want to hear all those,
classics.
Spotify top 10, because maybe that's all they know from us.
Can't please everyone.
We go through our catalog like chronologically. We really start with album 1, 2, 3, and so on, and pick like 2 or 3 songs from each album, and always try to have a nice mixture between something a little bit surprising or something we didn't play for a while and one of the obvious, let's say, hits. And then at the end of the set, we put some kind of, we call it party block, with like a couple of cover songs, because we just released this covers album at the end of the year as some kind of dessert for our Blood and Glitter record. So it was kind of the bonus 1 year later. So we have this cover block in the end just to give people some party. But it wasn't easy. It was really, really easy to make this. I always do this in iTunes. I put all these songs in, and then you end up with like 50 songs. You're like, oh, that's a great set list. It's 4.5 hours. And then you delete stuff. And it's like telling your kids, I hate you, you have to go. And it's like, it hurts so much to throw out all these songs. So
4.5 hours sounds like a big theater show.
Yeah.
Do you ever have songs that you that maybe have come across live, and a song that you maybe wouldn't pick out of an album track, but you think, oh, I love playing this particular song live. I feel like that just works in a live environment. And how do you work around something like that?
Well, what's the question? If you think like it only works live, but you don't like it on the record?
Maybe a song that doesn't jump out as one to pick from a record, but maybe that relates really well in a live environment. You think, do you know what, that just works? It's like just an example, like I never really understood like Thunderstruck, AC/DC, until I saw it live, and I thought, do you know what, this song just works in a live environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have these kind of songs. We have
Sonic Seducer song that came out as a Sonic Seducer exclusive. What was it?
Yeah, there was one song which we released as some kind of B-side on a sampler. I don't know. It was called "One Day Everything Will Be Okay."
Yeah.
And it's a very cheesy song, and it's very sweet, not really dark, and not really like, I don't know. Back then we felt like, no, it's more of a B-side. We can give this to a sampler. And this song touched like so many people, especially from the LGBTQ scene. Like they say, like, this song made me realize I'm okay the way I am, and one day maybe this world will understand me. And it really grew on people and grew on us. And one day we were like, okay, yeah, we don't really feel that song on the record. And there was a reason it wasn't on an album, but maybe we play it live. And then we played it live, and we realized how people started crying, and the magic that kind of evolved between us and the people was really, you could see the sparks flying. And we were like, okay. A couple of years later, we understood why the song was actually important. So we're actually thinking about like, re-recording that and maybe releasing it this year in summer or something, just because I'm not really happy with the production back then, because it wasn't part of an album production. And then we have another song which is called Credo, and it's like no one needs that on a record, because this song was really written for live shows, but you of course had to release it so people know it. And in the chorus, it literally says, it sounds a little cringe, but it literally says, "We give our hearts to the Lord of Lost," and you could go with that movement. And when you see that, how into it and start moving to it, then you are like, okay, now I get the song on the record.
And it relates, it works in that live, almost like the crowd become the extra element, you know?
Yes, and in the rehearsal room, it's like, it's the most boring song to play. It really makes no sense. And then you play it. You play it, you're like, yes, because at the rehearsal, the main instrument was missing.
The crowd, right?
Yeah. Do you have these kind of songs as well?
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting you say that. I mean, it all kind of stems. I remember I was watching the "We Will Rock You" documentary and the film about how that song came about. They were like, look, Brian May was like, let's do a song where the crowd get involved, and they essentially become the next element of this. You know, let's involve the crowd into like our songs. And it's almost like when you see Maiden, I think Maiden is one of the biggest examples of that. How there are so many people that, even if you're not like the biggest Maiden fan from their records, you go to a show and you see how important that crowd interaction, that crowd element is to their...
Feel of the Dark, when this song begins, like...
It's almost like a different song.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
You know, like, every guitar solo has been sing along.
I had this on the very first Maiden tour we did in 22. Of course, everybody knows Iron Maiden, but I was never that much into this band or into this music. And on the very first show in Zagreb, I went into the hall and into the arena when the show started, and I was just standing there and just turning around and watched all these people, heard the music and saw the show, and then it was just this click, and it was, all right, this
I get it.
is Iron Maiden. All right, now I understand. It's not the music, and it's not the band, and it's not the audience, it's not the show, it's the whole package.
It's the whole package, yeah. I completely agree, and I think it's so special. And I think that's sometimes when you look at Maiden on paper, and people maybe don't get sometimes why they're as big worldwide as they are, and then you go to a show and then you go, okay, now I get it. And that's such a hard thing to replicate.
Who is this? Who is this Iron Maiden you're talking about?
They're like a pub band, but they kind of occasionally do.
Never heard of her.
Never heard of
her. I've heard everywhere from them.
They won't get that big.
They sell shirts.
It's like, actually, you know, sometimes people really don't get this. I like this kind of humor because I get it, but I was at this one show, and it was like in between Maiden shows, we did some headliner shows, and then on stage I said something like, and tomorrow we're going to be on tour again with this new up and coming band from England. They're called Iron Maiden, and they were like, and then someone literally wrote me on Instagram like, "Hey, Chris, just wanted to let you know these guys are legends." So they are. I was like, oh God, I thought it was so obvious. So yeah.
Oh yeah, sarcasm is I think it's like 80% of of like the things that come out of our mouth is usually sarcastic in some way.
It's not everybody's forte.
Yeah, but
No.
the thing is, I'm very strict about sarcasm in written messages because I refuse to use emojis, or I refuse to read like signs like dots or whatever as emojis. I want people to either get the sarcasm or not.
Just by the mere choice of words.
Yeah. So it's like, I have another question when we're talking about music, because I think it's always, for me, it's always interesting to see how someone got into music. Like, what was the first instrument you touched? Why did you choose the instrument you play? How did that evolve? How did you decide to actually pursue this path of being musician? So for you guys, how did that work out? And George, why the fuck aren't you playing bass? I mean, all these questions.
I mean, I did actually pick up the bass first. That's my first instrument, is the bass, for obvious reasons. Like, there was, I was a kid, and my dad had a couple of acoustic basses lying around the house. There's one that's propped up in the living room. And I got to that age, I was like 12, and I'll just walk past it and be like, I just started taking an interest in the instrument itself. And I think I was subconsciously developing an interest in music, but I didn't really know it yet. I wasn't like an out and out metal fan back then. When I was a kid, I was like kind of into, I didn't really know what I liked. I was into a few different things, but I was really interested in the instrument itself. Picked it up, like like a lot of people, I learned how to play Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
And then but I started picking up, I got my dad to show me a couple of bits, and then I started learning some Maiden tracks, just because it's kind of what I knew. And I was like,
do you remember the first one which you tried to learn?
The Clairvoyant was the first Maiden track I tried to learn. It's the intro is like quite simple, and I learned it by ear, and I was like, oh wow, you get like a sense of achievement out of doing that. That was really cool. So that's what I enjoyed. So I carried on doing that, just figuring out some tracks that I knew, and just getting that, like, oh wow, I didn't know how to play this 10 minutes ago, and now I can play it. This is cool. And then I kind of got, I don't know why, I got kind of bored with that after like a year.
It's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I was doing a similar thing. I kept walking past, my sister had like a 3/4 size acoustic guitar, which was like a copy of an Ovation. And he was just sitting there doing nothing. He was just sitting there gathering dust. And I was like, oh, if she's not using it, I'm just going to steal that. So I stole that, and I did the same thing, but on the guitar. I would start there, I'd be figuring out songs that I knew on the guitar. I remember being absolutely over the moon with myself when I figured out the riff to Ain't Talking About Love.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, kind of developed from there. Well, I've for some reason I was just more fixated with the guitar than the bass. I don't really know why, but I just was, and I kind of carried on down that road. I wasn't like I'm gonna be a guitarist, I'm gonna try and write songs. It was just I enjoy this.
You thought to yourself, I've got all this excess talent lying around. I need to transfer it in a different way.
Exactly.
And how was it with you?
It's not a particularly cool story. I wasn't very good in school. I was never very good, like, academically. I was never very good academically. I wasn't very good in sport. And kind of relating to the subject of the song you mentioned, I never really felt like I fit in with anything. And I remember once getting picked for the choir, and I'd never been picked for anything in my life, and it was so, I didn't even realize at first what I was being picked for. I was just kind of so thankful to be kind of picked for something. So yeah, I joined a choir early on, and that kind of sparked me to want to pursue this, just because, as I said, it was like the first thing that felt like I could do. And that's kind of where it went. I had like a very traditional classical upbringing with that, and it was only later I got into like rock music. My best friend Dylan, he got me into Maiden and stuff like that, and rock bands. And I kind of grew up in the first wave of British, the new metal wave, like the Slipknot and the Korn and the Limp Bizkit and stuff. And, that, depending how you look at it, good or bad part of metal history. And that got me into to that. And that's it really. I just kind of went from, and the cool thing is, I think when you have like, a basic understanding of music, you realize it doesn't really matter how in terms of it being genre specific, the foundations were always the same. So just because I was brought up on maybe something more traditional, I haven't had an issue translating it into rock and metal and stuff in the future. But yeah, that's it really. It was just a case of I felt not particularly good at anything. That was the first thing that someone said, hey, you can do this. So
very important that somebody just says like, what if you just try this, that you just the idea of starting whatever that is.
Sometimes you just need someone to point it out. That
And I just got goosebumps when you said Slipknot, because it's like when you said like it was one of these first things then you discovered, because I remember this feeling when listening to Slipknot for the first time. And I'm not that much into the newer stuff, but when they put out this first record, this first like international record, I think in 1999, the red one. And I was in the studio back then with some other, I think my first band, and there was a CD, and I asked my producer, what is that? He said like, you should try that in the car on the way home. And I already had CD in the car. It was late 90s. And I was like, yeah, why not? It looks sick, like with this mask. And I put it in the car, and there was this weird intro for me. It was like, oh, I fucking hate it. So I skipped to the second track, and and I had to stop because I had goosebumps over my whole body. My hormones went crazy. I couldn't get what I was listening to. And I still, when someone just says that, how like discovering bands like this, I think it was so crazy for me to actually realize what you can do with instruments of this kind, instruments that I was using in my band. I was like, wow. I remember that feeling.
Really fascinating. I was into Slipknot as well. So I went, because I've seen the covers, I went to the shops, music stores, whatever, to buy the DVD from Roadrunner where all the bands were.
Oh yeah, what was it, Roadrunners United?
To make it happen, to see Slipknot in a video, and then going to all the other bands as well on top of it. And that was crazy. I mean, nobody will buy a DVD to see new music videos anymore. But that was great.
It was the shit. It was amazing. I still love that record. And I remember maybe 2 years ago, my son was back then was like 10 years old, and he was like he plays the drums more as a toy, but he plays the drums. And then he said like, can we listen to some like very energetic on the drums, like, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I looked up for that track, and he sat in the car right beside me, and the song started, and he was like, he looked like someone put a wind machine on him, and it was like, yeah. I understand what you're feeling, and then,
relatable.
And it's actually not really his kind of thing, and he doesn't like this heavy kind of music, but he was blown away by that energy, and I could really feel that. And it's amazing. And I had to laugh. It was the same conversation. Then he went like, but Dad, there's some really great band, and it's great it's big on TikTok now. You might not know it. It might be too new for you, but could you check on Spotify, check Last Resort.
was like, come on. Yeah, but all these bands from back then, like from the early 2000s, all these things, like they have such a big revival now. As
Yeah.
also like Limp Bizkit and Korn Orgy, these things, they're all coming back. These old songs are coming back. For some reasons, they're used on TikTok, like
All 20 years.
yeah.
Comes back.
It's
Yeah,
really,
especially Papa Roach. I see them, they're all over TikTok right now.
yeah, but they are still so great live. When you see them live, you're like, what the fuck? How old are they? Like 20?
Yeah.
I know, yeah. The energy is insane.
Just to mention that a friend of mine just sold their very old and shabby Papa Roach Marshall cabinets on eBay since they got rid of the European gear and
Really? Oh, nice.
and nobody wanted to have it because they thought you're Papa Roach.
But what I really like, just to add to this topic, is that, and that's quite also interesting, I think, the metal music doesn't get old. It's just coming back again, all these old songs. In pop music, well, in pop music, it's totally different. The songs are also coming back, but really as really bad covers.
Mm.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
I have some
think-
students, they are coming to the rehearsal room, and they're just like, can we play what was it a few years ago? Ain't Nobody. And I was just like, oh, Ain't Nobody from Chaka Khan. Hey, wow, that's a good song. I like the music and the rhythm. And I just
I know what you're gonna say.
I just opened YouTube and Chaka Khan, Ain't Nobody, and there was this quite complex drum beat and everything, and the student was just like, no, man, I mean the original. And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's from Felix Jähn. Oh, okay, open it. And it's just like,
Oh, man.
oh, wow. Okay.
You're a drum teacher. Just
Yeah. Here's a really, what I
no,
find,
just say that if the guys didn't know.
here's a really, what I find to be a really important question for George. What's your dog's name?
Dog's name's Bertie.
Bertie.
Bertie. Is it a Labradoodle?
He's a cockapoo.
Cockapoo. That's a
I know, yeah.
Cock.
Poo. I call him a cock-a-block. I call him cock-a-block.
Right. So guys, talking about kids and stuff, I have to run in a couple of minutes to see my son
to make kids
before he goes to bed. Yeah, maybe I meet some nice girls on the way to make some new kids with.
As always.
Thank you very much for your time, and I'm really looking forward to 21 dates with you. Where will you? There are like 10 days in between off. Are you going back to the island, or are you going to stay somewhere in Europe, or what's your plan for these off days?
We originally were going to. There was a festival that we were going to do in Portsmouth, which has sadly been cancelled now. So our plans are kind of a bit more wide open. We haven't
Free
really
agents.
free
So
agents.
if you feel like you want to visit Hamburg and you want to take a Beatles tour, like in Hamburg or whatever, let us know.
Perfect.
That sounds great.
You guys in 17 days.
17,
I
yeah.
think. So yeah, really looking
17
forward to
days.
see in Nürnberg.
Right.
Play the first.
Can't wait.
Yeah, really looking forward to touring with you guys.
Absolutely.
It's going to be fantastic.
Oh, it's gonna be so great.
And by the way,
Thanks for having us.
thank you everybody, all the community, for joining this stream and also donating some tips. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for all the questions.
Harry Potter
Looking forward to
and
seeing you
the
soon.
Raven Age.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye.
you. See you soon. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.